first birth was in 1954, and at that time there was no ultrasound. They did not x-ray. The doctors more or less guessed at the due date. My due date was to be middle of November, but she arrived the middle of December. I started labor on a Friday morning. Water broke. Went 25 miles to the hospital. Was there all day, all night. The next day, the next night, they sent me home on the third day, and it was time to put the Christmas tree up. So I came home. I just wouldn't continue dilating. Would go so far and stop. Put the Christmas tree up on a Sunday evening. Monday morning, the water broke second time, and called a doctor. He said, go immediately to the hospital. So I drove 25 miles to the hospital. Was in labor all day, and then about 6 in the evening, I started to deliver, and then they held me back until the doctor could get there. He had about a half-hour drive. So then they held me back till he got there, and it was a normal birth. At that time, they gave you a slight dose of, I don't know if it was ether or sodium pentothal, but just a slight dose. And at that time, the husband could not go to the delivery room. They had to stay downstairs. They didn't know when the birth had happened till the nurse decided to tell them. That's just the way it was. But it was a normal birth, and I came home the third day, did my own housework, and got along fine. The second birth was in 1960. They still had no ultrasound or any ways of detecting more of an exact time of birth. So they had guessed 1st of August. As it was, she arrived middle of August. I started labor about 3 in the morning, and at that time only had about 10 miles to the hospital, and she was born a half hour later. Normal birth, everything went well. Again, came home the third day and was able to do my own work and got along fine. So that's how things were 60 years ago and 55 years ago. They're much different now, but I got along fine. And that's pretty much my experience with birthing.